Well, thank you very much for staying with us. Just as we were on break, I was trying to go through this particular book, Go Green with Baraka. And of course, down here they say, plant a tree, plant hope. Like, he was alluding. And he says, of course, this book goes for 1,000 bob. And the language used here is a language that, a young child can really understand. It has incorporated not only, wordings, but also, images that can help a young child understand what is being talked about here. And it is, really, really impressive, as you can see, just what I was, talking about and all. Baraka, before I engage Dr. Green, Dr. Kalua Green, you said you're in grade
8.
What's your favorite subject in school?
I love sciences and social studies.
Social studies.
Yes.
Now, when you're not probably, in school or doing schoolwork and you're not, planting trees, what else do you do in your free time to probably relax, unwind?
I play.
You play? Football?
Yes.
So you do love football?
Yes.
You see this? Sema yote yenye unacheza. Usiogope, unacheza nini? Dr. Kalua anasema kuna kitu kingine usemi. Sema tu kila kitu.
Football and rugby.
Rugby?
Yes.
Pool kidogo.
Yes, pool.
I really hope, do you have a local team that you support? Local football team that you support?
In Kenya?
Yes. You support, any other team you support?
Man City.
Man City?
Yes.
Or they're fresh from, winning the Carabao Cup against Arsenal. But it's impressive. Do you also, get time off planting trees and schoolwork to train? Do you have ambitions career-wise to, be a sports person? The focus is on ensuring that we conserve the environment.
In sports?
Yes.
No.
You want to focus on matters of environmental conservation?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Dr. Kalua Green, how can we, first of all, mentor young conservationists? And what are there cost implications of that?
I think I love making life very simple, using what we already have. Using what we already have also means our God-given responsibility and opportunity of resources. Young man Baraka has produced a book. I have taken time to read that book. It communicates directly to the hearts of his age mates. It costs 1,000 shillings. Someone who is out there to support young people would buy that book. That is a book that I believe, even if it needs any editing, it can be done to fit the curriculum in our nation, so that that book is bought in millions of copies. When I talk to Baraka, as I mentor him and talk to him on many things, I don't just show him how to grow trees. I want to show him how to become a responsible entrepreneur and therefore an ecopreneur. Because environmental conservation should be taken as an economic activity, and it must start at this very early stage. If that little book that is so powerful, that can reach the hearts of millions of young people in this Kenya, talking about the 22 million young Kenyans I talked about below the age of 15, is bought in those millions of copies, you have planted trees. The current economy in our country talks to planting trees and not growing trees. The current economy is that people are paid when they appear to plant trees. What is the reality on the ground? People carry salt to kill the same trees because another job will only appear when they are planting another tree. This is the reality. I've talked about it umpteen times. How can we move to pay people? Remember the saying that I talked about, muindaji upumzika kichoma. When are the hunters going to do the roasting of the meat, preparing the barbecue while they work? Kenyans have always waited. They can't see the feed from the trees that they are planting. How do we create an economy around that? That is when we are talking the language of the younger people.
Okay.
When we buy that tree, when we buy that book, we are growing trees, not just planting trees. He knows what to do. Are we listening to our young people? Can we communicate job opportunities? When he's talking about trees, he's talking about school fees that is being paid. He's talking about jobs that need to be paid. Earlier on today, I was talking to a very senior government officer who is an administrator. He has planted trees, one tree at a time. It has more than 50,000 trees. He has planted in 150 acres. The trees are continuing to grow. They are into their about 10th or 15th year now. He is doing very successful. What would be wrong from him having 50 million, 80 million, 200 million Kenya shillings? The current discussion that he is having is with an Asian country that wants to come and create compressed timber, and that means reducing the trees existing into dust, and then export that to produce compressed timber that has a market of $400 billion US. That is the language that we need to speak that can get our children to understand that they can. Baraka's vision is to build a school. He wants to educate more people. How can his dream be supported? And every child has something that sometimes we are letting on the side instead of supporting what he can be able to do. Let us use what we already have to support our children. And it is the responsibility of the parents. Baraka is a good example, and we can do much, much more.
Okay, fair enough. Talking about books, Dr. Kalua, around 6 months ago, you did, of course, launch your book, Green for Life. Briefly talk to us about it. What it entails. I think it has around 56 chapters, and you've talked about, being 56 years old.
Yeah, I would want us to talk about more of Baraka's book today. But yes, I have already talked about Green for Life. Okay. I thank everyone who has bought the book. It is now online in its audio, in its ebook, and translated into 5 different languages, including Latvian, Spanish, French, and all that. Okay. And the feedback, I think what I need to talk about is feedback that I am getting. People who have seen opportunities that they had never thought. People who have since, just already a few months, have already started doing things in their land because they have read what I did to be where I am today, because I've laid my life bare to the world. I have seen people come to me and say, my wedding was already gone, and on the account of your book, my wedding is back, and I told my family as such. I have seen people, ministry, talking about policy in the country. I think that is really heartwarming to see that this is happening. And I already talked about RED. This is what the book brings out. It's about responsibility, efficiency, and discipline. And therefore, I can't wait to see what is going to happen in years to come. The book is now available in all the bookstores in the country, and I look forward to see a lot coming out of this. And it's an opportunity for us to be a nation that writes down history, because history can never be changed. It doesn't mean that you hold a grudge with anyone that you ever met or brushed in a wrong way. It brings out an opportunity to show that there are possibilities, that you can look at bigger things. And no wonder that the parents of Baraka have been able to read this, and they are able to come out with a book like we launched. I can't wait to see what reading and writing will take us to in the very near future.
I have one interesting question in regards to matters, conserving the environment and climate, the mitigation of climate change and all that. Now, for someone in the informal settlements, how can those in the informal settlements contribute to climate mitigation, when they're just struggling to survive?
Very good opportunities. I have indicated in the book. I made millions of shillings out of just tree production, seedling. It's about discipline. How do you do that? How do you get it efficiently? I have people that are now, I remember a situation, and I can share this easily. Someone who had borrowed a loan to build a house, and they could not have enough to pay for their monthly installments. And I talked to them, and they planted trees in their father's land, and the job still remained. They managed to repay the loan. But at the end of about 9.5 years, they sold the trees that they had planted, and they bought 3 extra houses in the city, small apartments that are there. This can happen with the people in the settlement out there. Fruit trees can change life. You don't have to do irrigation. You are producing seedlings. Unknown to Kenyans, you can produce even 1 million seedlings, and for as long as they exist, and there is good number for this, you can sell.
Okay.
I have brought out many examples in my book of how it's actually a life manual, as it is, on what can be done in our forests, what can be done in business, entrepreneurship, ecopreneurship, everything that comes in this manner. It's a practical book that should be out there training people, just like what our little young Baraka's book would be. So there are many examples that we may not talk about today, because today I wanted to be the day of Baraka, and that we can be able to bring out. So there are many examples. Talk about regions, talk about, there is something extraordinary in value addition. What is it that you can be able to do? Beekeeping, which is the simplest of all. You must not even buy an expensive beehive, and yet you can be able to produce this. There are many, many things, and there are people, and I enjoy mentorship. This is something that I like, that I have worked with people in rural places. A specific group that used to earn about 3,000 shillings whenever they met on table banking, and today they are doing business in millions. And this is what makes my joy, and this is what I'm preparing Baraka to become in the near future.
Fair enough. I will come to Baraka in just a moment, but there's one question I'd really want to ask Dr. Ari. Do you believe Kenya as a country is being treated fairly on the global stage in regards to matters of climate change? Because we emit very little carbon, but we suffer the most in terms of the effects.
Treated by who? This is the first question that we need to ask ourselves. It is us who are treating ourselves wrongly. Because we do have a lot of resources, God-given resources, but we misuse it. The people who are experts communicate in a manner that can never be liked, can never be understood. I have said umpteenth times, tell an African person to conserve the environment, they will not understand what you're talking about. But show them how to make money. They will go in that direction. How and when are we going to make the Barakas of this world to understand that they can be able to do action, even as they work hard, that would help the parents to pay for their own school fees? And the opportunities are quite a lot. There is a role of the international community and what they are supposed to do based on the commitments that countries and international policies has brought out. But there is much more than 800 times, that never gets out there and is never communicated in a manner that can be able. The idlers, the people, the young people who are really working, and Baraka has brought it out in his book, that youth must be engaged. If we only took the youth of this nation in a practical way, God-fearing way, that you live in areas of forests, go collect seeds from trees in what is called crown picking.
Okay.
Package them, and you can be able to sell. That would turn our country into something else. And there are multi-billion activities of this kind that I've also brought out in my Green for Life that would be able to change what we are doing. It's about leadership. It's not about a situation where we have to try and put those complex words that people don't understand.
Okay, fair enough. Baraka, let me come back to you. And you've said, he has really articulated how Kenyans need to, even if incorporating this particular issue, in the curriculum, and how Kenyans can purchase this book, and it will go a long way in advocating for matters environmental conservation. I know I was given this copy by your mom, I believe, and to support you, I'll also take this. It's 1,000 bob. I'll take it, and to support your cause, but also I'll deliver it to my nephew, who said is 9 years old, to go through it. It will also go a long way in helping him understand what you're talking about. But I want to know, your peers, how do they react to you being an environmentalist, and you being on the front line on fighting for matters environmental conservation?
My friends are really supportive. In fact, right now, I'm very sure they're watching this, supporting me. And when we have a supportive peer environment, we can do more as a young generation. So the support from my friends helped me to continue going on to achieve greater things. Yeah.
You see, sometimes they say, Baraka, there are challenges in everything you do. Is there a challenge that you probably encountered when you're trying to, agitate for environmental conservation and all that?
First of all, lack of resources. And there's also people bullying, saying I'm too small, I can't make it. But I choose to use those words as encouragement to prove them wrong.
Fair enough. It's you use it as fuel to that to keep pushing even more.
Yes.
Now, interesting, because if the people who bully the young generation, who are trying to really advocate for environmental conservation, it's a shame. I mean, what have you done to ensure that the environment is conserved? What have you done to ensure that we can mitigate the effects of climate change here in the country? Because like I asked Dr. Kalua how Kenya is being treated, and his first question was, by who? It begins with us. This book is available across the country. Or where can someone who wants to purchase this book get them?
There's a number at the behind of the book where you can contact my parents. And for delivery, it will be directed by my parents.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Dr. Green,
I think
where can they get this book?
This is where we need to help.
Yes.
Because Baraka has done his bit. I'm sure you have viewers who are listening to this. This is the future. If we can support Baraka, and he has such a beautiful name. Baraka means blessings. And he has a team that supports him, that they have other names, but they also believe that they are a blessing to the nation. I would want to see institutions like Textbook Center, which is a very good institution that I'm very happy to work with, and they are very intrigued by what I do and what we do. I want to see, and I will be presenting this book to them for them to work on this. There are institutions, I work with the Latvian government in a way that may be able to add, and there is an institution, one of the book centers, that they are looking forward to African books that they can translate so that they can sell to the millions of communities in Europe. I want to see, and this is my depth request to the nation of Kenya, When a child like this one does what he has done, we have worked with other children that today are now playing with Liverpool and others because they love soccer. This is a young man that's done a book. It is us to ask, where can we get this? If you ask through our institution, Green Africa Group or the Green Africa Foundation, we will try to keep as much as we can there. But can you imagine if an institution, a publisher came out to say, I want to put this book on Amazon, I want to put this book, and we can be able to work on that as well to support him. So this is a beginning, this is a seed that I would want to see the nation called Kenya rushing it into Africa, into the world, that a young man, 13-year-old, did this. I want this young man, and it is my prayer as I speak to it, I want to see him as a multi-billionaire. We have billionaires at the age of 13. Google and see. What did they do? They only did something like this. And the world supported them. And therefore my appeal, if my 30-some, if my 57 years getting to it now only ends up in me supporting this young man, so be it. That is what I would want to see. Okay. What is the value of money if we cannot support the future of this nation? If the government of Kenya bought just 2 million or 5 million books to be given to Kenyans, we have already put an investment that is going to encourage institutions. This is where also our corporate social investment changes, so that we stop doing things that are not long-lasting. How many trees have Kenyans planted? And they plant in an occasion where everyone is there, all 4x4 institutions are there, vehicles, and the trees end up dying. But if corporate social investment supported just a book that goes out there to say Baraka is here, if Kenya Airways lifted kids to go out for an environmental activity, just to take them for a tour, around the country, or just take Mombasa in the morning and bring them back to Nairobi, and that they become now agents of the environment. That is the direction that I would want to see. Okay. That is planting the future. That is growing hope for our nation.
Pretty much. We've come to the end of this particular conversation, but I'll give you a minute or so, Baraka, to tell Kenyans out there, what message do you have for not only people your age, but also Kenyans in general who are watching right now?
That if you plant a tree, you plant hope. And the amount of trees you plant is securing our future, the next generation and the generation to come. So if you plant a tree, you help combat climate and also make our environment beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's also very impressive that, you, as young as you are, you've not only written books, you can articulate yourself in a very, a good manner. And of course, credit again to your parents and to your institution for being supportive, and even your peers and everybody who's supported you in this journey, including Dr. Kalua Green, who's really, he has really spoken about how there's need to support you in what you do. And of course, the clarion call, like Dr. Kalua said, is to the government to ensure that, to see to it that, young kids like Baraka, to begin with Baraka, can get the, of course, much needed support to push, of course, this agenda of, environmental conservation and matters, climate change mitigation. And safe to say that Dr. Green has also, not only Dr. Green, but also Baraka himself has also convinced me. And like I said, I'll take this copy and then I'll give you, mom, here's the cash, take the cash, just to support these causes. And I'm really, really impressed by what you do. Keep on going. Don't listen to what naysayers say. Don't listen to what bullies say. Use whatever they say as fuel to, go even further. So thank you very much for making time to be here, Baraka.
Thank you.
Dr. Green, thank you very much for supporting these young gentlemen.
Thank you for buying that book. God
really
bless
impressed.
you.
I'm really impressed.
I pray that Kenyans can do that.
Very much.
Thank you.
And of course, to the parents again who are here but are not on screen, many thanks for granting us your kid to be with us this particular evening, and for supporting him, giving him the much needed support to, of course, advance his aspirations and be an inspiration to the many Kenyans, millions of Kenyans, the young and the old, who are trying to, of course, in his quest rather, to ensure that we conserve the environment, because that is the future. And like he says, plant a tree, plant hope. be sure to, of course, just to be fair, to ensure that Kenyans can also contact, your parents and get a copy. Here is the contact if you want to buy this particular book, and it is 0727 289 271. 0727 289 277. Beg your pardon. 0727 289 277. That is the number that you can contact to, of course, get a copy of that particular book. But for now, we wrap up this particular conversation. Many thanks for tuning in. Until next time, to everybody who made this a success, many thanks. Do have yourself a wonderful night. I am Ian Keitani, and like always, God bless.